Good morning. This is our first lecturer in Power System 2. Okay. In our previous semester, we have already covered our Power System 1. In that semester, that is when we are in fourth semester. Okay. In our Power System 1, we have covered the generation of electrical energy. Then that is I'm not telling that we have covered the details of generation, because when you learn power station engineering in your higher semester like 7 or 8 semester, then we'll learn the details of power station engineering. But in our first paper, that is in our power system 1, we have covered the basics of generation. Okay, then we have covered the transmission and distribution line. Okay, there we have calculated the inductance, capacitance and resistance of the transmission line, and also we have discussed in our previous semester about the performance of the transmission line. Also we have covered there the advantage of the high voltage of our transmission line, why we are preferring high voltage for our transmission. Those things we have covered. Also we have covered different supply systems. Okay, also in our previous semester we have covered different voltage controlling methods. In that semester also we have covered the line supports and insulators you are using to construct of our transmission and distribution line. When you are constructing the transmission and distribution line, what is the role of line supports and insulators there? We have covered those things. Those things. Okay. Then I think we have covered there sag calculation and corona. Okay, in the transmission line. Okay, and we have covered some basic effects which is happening in our transmission line. Okay, then also we have covered there the underground cable system. Okay, what is the role of underground cable system? Okay, we have also what is the we are also comparing the advantage or disadvantage of underground cables in comparison to our overhead lines. Okay, those things we have covered in our fourth semester when we are talking about our power system 1. Now coming to power system 2. Okay, so when I am coming to power system 2, I think in our first semester, in our fourth semester also we have discussed about the single line diagram of the system. Okay, that thing. So those things, how to draw single line diagram, what and understanding of single line diagram. Okay, those things I think you have some basic knowledge about those the single line diagram in our previous semester. Okay. I've talked those things details in our previous semester. Okay, I think you should not have any problem when I'm talking about the single line diagram and all that. Okay, now coming to the first lecture of power system 2 here. Okay, so here in our first unit we have to talk about the symmetrical fault analysis. Okay, so when I am talking about the symmetrical faults, we should understand what is faults first. Okay, so like our health, suppose I am talking about my health or your health or health of any human. Okay, obviously when the human is normal, when suppose I am talking about the human being is normal, the health of the human being is normal. Okay, that means what? That means there is nothing or there is no abnormality happening to that man at all. Okay, if the man is normal, behaving a normal way and living his life in a normal way, and suppose he is not getting any kind of problem in his health, then I'm telling that the health of that man is normal. But suppose someone is suffering from fever or loose motion like that, or some very big disease like cancer and failure of kidneys. Okay, so many things are there, so many big health problems are also there, internal problems are there also in our human being. Okay, so when I'm talking about those things, so based upon the severeness of the uh, disease, okay, the human is suffering accordingly. If you are suffering from fever, the viral fever, then you are not worrying too much. Okay, but still you have to cure yourself. You are taking medicines and all that by consulting a doctor. Okay, similarly, if you are having some very big diseases, then you are consulting your doctor and you are taking care more in comparison to your small diseases. When you are having some big diseases like cancer, kidney failure and all that, then you obviously you have to taking care more there if you want to live your life. Okay, okay, or you if you want to live at least some days by overcoming the negative effect of your disease. So for that what you are doing, you are going to the doctor and you are consulted by the consultation of the doctor. You are taking your medicines or you are controlling your foods and all that. Okay, to regain your health or to become healthy once again. Okay, so similarly when I'm talking about our power system also, okay, or when I'm talking about our electrical system also, here also we can tell that already in our previous system we are not included the fault there. Okay, just we have talked about the whole system like our generation, transmission, distribution and utilization. Okay, in our generating station we have generated the electrical energy, again we have transmitted the electrical energy. Okay, then we have distributed the electrical energy by the distribution line, by the help of our distribution line. Then obviously why we are generating the electrical energy? For the demand or for the utilization. So you have utilized the electrical energy. So in that semester we have not included our protection system or faults. I'm not talking about the protection system also. In our power system 3 we have to talk about the or we have to cover the protection system. Okay, in this system or in this lecture or in this semester we have to cover the health of our power system. That means whether the health of the power system is normal or any kind of abnormality happening, or there is some possibility or there are some possible abnormalities which is happening. Okay, or which may be happen to the power system, or which may be happen to our transmission line or distribution line, or which may happen to our generator which is generating electrical energy, or it may happen to our transformer which is making when I'm talking about the high voltage or distribution transformers. If there is some abnormalities happening in our operation of transformer, when obviously when the transformer is operating normally, it's okay. But is there any some possible that some abnormality may happen to our transformer or to our loads? Okay, so if we have to talk about those things, if there is some abnormal or there is some possible abnormality happening to our system, then obviously those are the faults, or we can tell those are the faults to our power system, or those are the faults to our whole system, or to our whole electrical engineering system. Okay, so for that we have to, this is our first lecture, so we should understand what is fault. And I think now you are getting some idea that what is fault. Okay, if there is some abnormality happening in our line, then so if there is some abnormality is happening to the system or to our power system, then that may generate some fault. Okay, that may generate some unhealthy condition in our system. So which should be taking care of, like we are consulting our doctor. Similarly, we have to taking care of those things by which the effect of fault will be normalized or abolished from the power system. Okay. So now coming to discuss about the fault in detail. Okay. So when I'm talking about a fault in a circuit, uh, is any failure which interferes with the normal flow of current. Okay, then there must faults on transmission lines, uh, which is of 110 kV or higher, are caused by lightning, which results in the flashover of insulators. Okay, then there is possibility that the high voltage between a conductor and the grounded supporting towers causes ionization, which provides a path to ground for the charge induced by the lightning stroke. Once the ionized path to ground is established, then the resultant is there is due to the effect of ionized path to the ground. Okay, the resultant of low impedance to ground allows the flow of power current from the conductor to the ground and through the ground to the grounded neutral of a transformer or generator, thus completing the circuit here. Okay, that means line to line fault not involving, when I'm talking about the line to line fault means, suppose I'm talking about the three phase line. Okay, so there may be a connection, suppose if some abnormality will happen or if some conductor will break down and it will connect with another line of the system, then it is a line to line fault. So this line to line fault may not involving ground, or it may also involve ground. If suppose only there is some connection between line to line, then that is not involving the ground. But if the fault is line to line and again that is also involved with ground, then we can tell that line to line fault is involving with ground. Okay, but these are normally less common when I'm talking about line to line fault involving ground. Okay, now if this kind of thing is happening, then though in this power system 2, I don't want to talk about too much on our protection system. Okay, because we have to cover separately our protection system in our power system 3. But still I'm telling some basic things here for the protection. So for the protection of the system, when the fault will happen, then there will be opening of circuit breakers is happening to isolate the faulted portion of the line from the rest of the system, which interrupts the flow of current in the ionized path and allows deionization to take place there. Okay. What I am telling here is, after an interval of about 20 cycles, 20 alternating cycles, to allow deionization, breakers, that means circuit breakers, can usually be reclosed without re-establishing the arc. Experience in the operation of transmission lines, okay, has that the ultra high speed reclosing breakers, which is successfully reclosed after most faults. Okay, now those causes where the reclosures is not successful, okay, then there may be caused by permanent faults where reclosure would be impossible regardless of the interval between opening and reclosing. So when I'm talking about permanent faults, okay, the permanent faults are caused by the lines which are being on the ground by insulator strings breaking because of icy loads, by permanent damage to towers, and by surge arrestor failures. Okay, it is seen that 70 to 80% of transmission line faults are single line to ground faults. Okay, that means one conductor or one line will be breakdown broken due to some abnormal conditions, and obviously if it will be broken out, what will happen? The conductor will be tossed to the ground directly. Okay, so normally when it is seen that 70 to 80% of transmission line faults are single line to ground faults, which arise from flashover of only one line to the tower and the ground. Roughly we can say 5% of all faults involve all three phases. Okay, and there are so-called symmetrical three-phase faults which are considered in this chapter. Okay, here because we are talking about symmetrical faults here. Okay, so here we can tell that transmission line faults are line-to-line faults which don't involve ground and double line to ground faults also. Okay, all the above fault or all the discussed faults are except the three-phase type cause an imbalance between the phases. Okay, whether it is line to ground fault or double line to ground fault or line to line fault. Okay, all are imbalanced. Okay, that means when I am talking about a balance, then only I can tell that the three-phase type cause an okay. That means the three-phase type may cause a balance fault, but except these, the other faults may not be balanced, and so they are called unsymmetrical faults. Okay, which will be discussed in this power system 2 later in our next unit. Okay, we have to cover the unsymmetrical faults in our next unit, in our second unit. Okay, now I can tell here that the current which flow in different parts of a power system, okay, immediately after the occurrence of fault differ from those flowing a few cycles later, just before circuit breakers are called upon to open the line on both sides of the fault. Okay, and all of these currents differ widely from the currents which would flow under steady state condition. Steady state condition means that is the normal condition when the current is flowing steadily. Okay, and there is no fault, or that means if there is some abnormality, the abnormality is overcome and the system is healthy and stable, then I can tell, and the system is operating steadily, that then only you can tell that the system is under steady state condition. So if I am talking about steady state condition, then I can tell that if the fault were not isolated from the rest of the system of the operation of circuit breaker, then what will happen? The steady state may be affected. Okay, then to isolate the fault elements from the rest of the system of the operation, okay, you are using circuit breakers there to isolate the unhealthy system or unhealthy part from the overall system or from the whole system of the power system network. Now we can tell two of the factors on which the proper selection of circuit breakers depends are the current flowing immediately after the fault occurred and the current which the breaker must interrupt. So in fault analysis, values of these currents are calculated for the different type of faults at various locations in the system. And if you are able to understand or if you are able to calculate the fault calculations, or if you are able to calculate the faults properly, then there is a that means it is easy to determine the setting of relays which controls the circuit breaker. Okay. Now come to our topic, that is next topic, that is coming under symmetrical fault analysis in our first unit, that is transient in RL series circuit. Okay. So I can tell here that the selection of a circuit breaker for a power system, okay, that will be depends not only on the current, okay, the breaker is to carry under the normal operating condition, but it also, okay, and the maximum current it may also have to carry momentarily, and the current it may have to interrupt at the voltage of the line in which it is placed. Okay. So to approach the problem of calculating the initial current when the system is short circuited, consider what happens when an AC voltage is applied to circuit containing constant values of resistance and inductance. Okay, and let the applied voltage between let the applied voltage be, that is I can tell here the applied voltage is V max, which is equal V max, that 1 minute. I can tell that the applied voltage is what, V max sin omega t plus alpha. Okay, so here I can tell that the applied voltage, let the applied voltage is V max sin omega t plus alpha, where t is equal to 0 at the time of applying the voltage, and then alpha determines the magnitude. Okay, the magnitude which magnitude? Alpha determines the magnitude of the voltage when the circuit is closed. Okay, that means alpha is determined the magnitude of voltage, okay, when the circuit is closed. Okay, now if the instantaneous voltage is 0, okay, if I am considering the instantaneous voltage 0 and increasing in positive direction, okay, when it is applied by closing a switch at where that is alpha is 0, okay, if the voltage is at positive maximum instantaneous value, then alpha is pi by 2. Okay, if the voltage is at positive maximum instantaneous value, then at that condition, that is alpha is pi by 2. Now the differential equation is, I can write the differential equation, which is that is V max sin omega t plus alpha, which is equal to Ri plus L di by dt. Okay, so I can tell as this is equation 1. Then the solution of the equation 1 will be, I can write I is equal to V max by Z mod I'm writing the brackets. I'm making the bracket start here. Okay, just in conjunction with V max by Z mod you have to assume it. So again I am writing the equation. I can write I is equal to V max by Z mod bracket start sin omega t plus alpha minus theta bracket n minus epsilon to the power minus RT by L sin alpha minus theta. Okay, sin alpha and then bracket n. Okay, so where Z mod is, I am writing the Z mod here. Okay, where our Z mod is nothing but that is root over of R square plus omega L square whole root over of R square plus omega L square, and theta is tan inverse omega L by R. Okay, by R. So I can tell this is equation 2 by combining. I am not telling this is equation 2. Sorry. For the expression of I can tell that is equation 2. Okay. And for the expression of V max sin omega t plus alpha, which is Ri plus L di by dt, that is as equation 1. And when I am getting the solution from that is I is V max by Z mod whole into sin omega t plus alpha minus theta minus epsilon to the power minus RT by L sin alpha minus theta is considered as equation 2. Okay, so here I can tell that the equation 2 may varies sinusoidally with time. Okay, and the second term is not or the second term is non-periodic and decays exponentially with a time constant which is L by R. So this non-periodic term is called the DC component of the current. Okay, we recognize the sinusoidal term as the steady state value of the current in RL circuit, for the given applied voltage. And if the value of the steady state term is not 0 when t is 0, then the DC component appears in the solution in order to satisfy the physical condition of zero current at the instant of closing the switch. I think we should stop here. Okay. In our next lecture, we have to go forward. Okay. For the discussion of for our next discussion, we have to discuss briefly. Okay, on the symmetrical faults. Okay. Thank you very much.